Mr. Gaming Counselor.
It's the Gaming Counselor here. Mr. Gaming Counselor. Silly rabbit tricks are for kids, but this one wants to murder me. So long, you loser. Ah! What was that? Oh, you want me to use a sniper? You want me to use a sniper?
Bro, I guarantee you.
Yep. Let's see, is this correct? Oh, I don't like that screen. Ooh, let's switch it over. Bingo, that works. Serves our purpose. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the counselor's office. I'm Mr. Gaming Counselor. Hello, Twitch and YouTube. I have both you pulled up. Welcome to the video, or the live, which will be a video. Bungie's biggest successes and biggest failures of 2023. I think it's important that we look back at the year, and I don't want to just look back at just Lightfall. Like, I want to look at the all-encompassing of Bungie. And then at the end, I would like to give my own, like, what would I like to see in the final shape to kick off the year, right? Now, this video is probably going to upset people who are upset that I'm giving credit to Bungie, because we're going to give credit. There's going to be people that are upset because I'm criticizing Bungie. I'm criticizing things about the game. People are going to be upset, but I think we can all be mature here and understand that the criticism to which I give is things that could improve the game. It could improve experience for either everyone or specific pockets of the community. I think we can have critical thinking skills here, right? We can be fair. But I do want to give credit to Bungie, because they have done some great things this year. As much as people want to rail them, and I'm the first one, I'm going to criticize them. Don't you worry. But we have to acknowledge the good things of the game, right? So I've got my cheat sheet, but we're going to do it here as well. And I think something that people is going to be controversial immediately, especially for the PvP world, something that is not happening as much happened this year. And I think that all game developers, companies, and even Bungie themselves needs to continue to do. A success they did was suing Cheatmaker. Y'all remember, I think it was in February, Bungie sued a Cheatmaker, or I think it was a couple of them, in combination with a couple of other companies. That's big. Like, they're actively chasing cheater creators. You can ban as many cheaters as you want. I think that's a hill that is not worth dying on. I think it's not going to solve the problem in any game, because people just make new accounts, especially free-to-play games are plagued by this. So a Bungie success was that they targeted the root issue, which is the people who make these cheats. And I think more companies need to jump on the bandwagon. We need to target the source of the issue. You can target the cheaters all you want. It's like Hydras. You cut the head off and more just pop up. They don't care. Especially people who have money, who just don't care, right? And I've seen cheats. I've looked at cheats. I've checked them out. I'm like, how expensive are these cheats in like Call of Duty and all these games? And some of them are very expensive. Like, to long-term cheat is expensive. So this isn't your plain Jane casual dad cheating. You know, the dad that only has a couple hours to play. These are people who are spending cash to cheat. And so if you ban their account, they're just going to buy it again. You're not solving the issue. Give Bungie the credit they deserve. On top of that, again, this is going to be controversial for some people, suing toxic harassing players. And when I say toxic, I mean like death threats, right? Example, death threats, doxing. And it was the CM. It was DMG, right? But it's not just them. It's other people that other devs and people in the community who are in Bungie community that got threats. I think that's a level of toxicity that the community should not accept. I think it's good that they sued those people. Like, cyberbullying's real. It's actually a real deal, and no one should be harassed over a video game. I'm just gonna say that. Whether you agree that they're doing their job or not, that should not translate to making threats to someone's life or making them feel uncomfortable in their own home. That's not acceptable. Again, these are controversial. Some people are going to be like, no, that's not right. That's not right, Mr. Gaming Counselor. But the game. Listen, pipe down. We'll get to the failures. Trust me, you're going to hear your criticisms. But let's talk about the good, okay? Let's kick the year off starting or end of the year with some positive. Then we can criticize and hope for the best in the future. So, this is kind of like a double edge, and we'll get to it when we talk about failures, but we have to acknowledge they did increase vault space. I'm pretty sure that it was this year. Someone can correct me. It was only 100 spaces, but I believe we did indeed get vault space, which is a big deal because we need it. In fact, let me look. Bungie adds vault space. August 2023. No, that's someone's. Any news? I'm looking. Everyone, I see a bunch of articles about adding space. Increasing space. Oh, no, it was in 2022. Never mind. Let's take that off then. Never mind. That was in May. Let's not give them credit for something they didn't do. If they did do it, someone else can correct me. But what they did do was vault from orbit. Huge. That's huge. The ability to access from orbit, again, it is something that I believe should have been earlier on in the life of Destiny. But it's so huge to have now. So huge. And I often forget it exists, but swapping from activity to activity, it's so nice to have. Especially when you're farming, you go to orbit real quick, you have like a couple seconds, you can just drag and drop your stuff in the vault, and then you go back to farming your GM or a raid or whatever you're doing. Huge. Huge. Loadouts. Ah, what? No, undo. I just want to put a little... Thank you. Loadouts. Also pretty hot. We can agree loadouts was great. Again, it's something else that it should have been like 3 years ago. We can complain about that, but the reality is it's still a W. I think we can all agree not having to always use dim is so nice. It is especially some of the tech that people are coming up with for solo raids and solo, just being able to look at your stuff on the fly. And the fact that you could just click it. The only thing I don't like is they've disabled some of the hot swapping with legendaries and weapons. Like, it's not perfect. Like, it's not perfect if you don't have it in your, on your person. But it's so nice to just be able to click. Click. You get it. You understand where I'm getting at, right? It is so nice to be able to have that option. Right? So that's a dub. Very nice. All right. Back to the list. So loadouts. Something that's both a negative and a positive, but overall I think we can agree is a good thing. Increase carry capacity of golf balls. Listen, I hate it that we can't store things in the vault. Or not the vault. Like, yes, first off, I hate that we can't store these in vault, but you also can't use, you can't come over here and be like, oh, hey, got golf balls. But the postmaster isn't going to sit there and hold them anymore. It sucks. But at least we got compromise where we can hold more. I don't understand. And I'm just going to hold that back. That thought is going to be in the cons, the failures of Bungie. But that's a plus. Being able to hold more is a plus that we have to recognize. Moving on, because we got a lot of negatives. Pluses. Strand. I think we could all agree Strand has been a W. Strand is a W. Even Titan, even though I still don't think it was as good as it is now when it first came out, Titan was still fun to play with. But it is so much better with Banner of War. You've got this literal walking tank vibe. Hunter. Having a Beyblade on demand, so good. Warlock, just being able to pump out some good damage, being able to absorb your grenade and suspend things after killing him. Like we all used like Thorn and all the weapons of sorrow with our necrotic grip build for suspend. Even though suspend was nerfed when it does feel worse, it's still fun and it's still good in certain situations. But Strand overall was very good. I think, and this may be controversial, for PvE, I think Strand was better than Stasis. Not only did I feel like it came out hotter, it's still better. Even with the Stasis buffs, I still think, and it's not on my list, and I kind of don't want to forget it, so I'm going to put this down here. We'll come back to that because I don't want to forget, because that is a big thing that we want to talk about this season. What else? Fire Team, again, it's better late than never, but Fire Team Finder is still a plus. Whether you use it, whether you like it. I have done a couple of GMs. I've done a couple of raids. I will say that I hate the in-game volume. I hate, or the mic, because my mic just does not connect to the game for some reason. Like literally I use Discord and everything with this mic, and it just doesn't work with in-game Destiny. You can hear other players, but you cannot talk to them. And I feel like you should be, and you could put this down here, right? We could put another negative just off to the side. More voice device customization. I don't even think I spelled customization right. Let's just say device options, because I'm a twat right now. Voice device options. You don't have options. You don't get to choose what device Destiny connects to. Like if I go to voice right now or social, you have voice chat on, push to talk, and manual opt-in. That's the only option you have. Go to sound. Is there any options for sound? No, there's no device. Every first-person shooter game, Halo, Call of Duty, heck, I think even Warframe, I'd have to double check, has the option to choose your device. I know Fortnite does. You could go in and choose your device for voice chat, so you know that that's what the game is pulling from. I don't know what this game is pulling from when it comes to chat. And I've gone in and I've selected Bungie or Destiny under the sound volume in my PC, and I've selected the mic, and it doesn't work. So I don't know. It's just annoying. Maybe I have to use like a controller mic or something, but I don't want to go through the effort to have to figure that out. That's annoying. That's a side tangent, right? That was not a plus. The point is, Fire Team is good. It needs work. in general in certain aspects. And just my personal issue is the voice options hurts Fireteam Fighter. All right, moving on. Some exotic reworks. Listen, we had several reworks. And I'm just gonna talk about that for a minute. Some of those there's a good portion that are still trash and they did nothing for the exotics. So let's just dump that over into the negative section. The positive, there are some great exotics. Like Celestial Nighthawk actually has a purpose to exist. Shards of Galanor, I kid you not, was probably the first thing I always dismantled as an exotic. And I've never liked it after they nerfed the super generation, outside of maybe Mayhem, if you wanted to do cheesy infinite blade throws. But the fact that they created an exotic that gives you super based on knife throws, so you can build into the fantasy, that's great. I love that. Apotheosis Veil actually has a moment. I hate that it's only tied to super cast, but for the small time that you cast your super, you can just keep throwing fusion nades. It feels like old Star Protocol. But the problem is, it is like 6 seconds. So I treat this as like a hot swap exotic. Like you're about to drop a well, I swap to it, throw my nades, shoot my stuff. If I have a quick time, I'll quickly swap to a different exotic or something after DPS, and then rinse and repeat. This is not something I would wear like in GMs because the value is only in your super, and if you're not popping your super a lot, it's just not worth it. There's better exotics. But for like raids where you're trying to do quick DPS, I think they did a good job. I think it needs a little bit more tinkering, but overall, it has a lot more viability than it did before. And that's just some of the examples, right? Dawn Chorus got buffed. I don't think it got buffed this year. Maybe I'm wrong. But the reworks in general and adding things that tie to your abilities is fantastic. I think that's good. Exotics have more connection to your subclasses versus it's just a generic plug-in exotic that has some weak sauce ability. I think the reworks that they're doing that have more tie-in to your subclass, chef's kiss. That's fantastic. Give me more options. Make me choose. Like Hunter, I can use Shards of Galanor with a nice throwing blade, or I can do some big DPS. And I can usually get my super back pretty quick if I'm playing an activity where I can get a lot of throwing knives versus Nighthawk. But in like GMs, Nighthawk shines. Crazy. So yes, we will give Bungie credit for some, not all of them, but some of the exotic reworks they're doing. I'm also going to say some of the catalysts have been pretty good. Not all of them. Again, I'm disappointed in my personal opinion, and someone's gonna not like it. I think Monte Carlos is disappointing because you have to get so many kills and then you just get a glaive stab, and I'm like, oh, it's options, but like most content that I play, if I'm using melee, like Titan, I am just going to use my physical ability punch versus a little stick, or I just use a regular glaive. That's my opinion, but it's cool, right? It's neat. It's neat. We can say it's neat. Not all exotics have to be meta. Not all exotics have to be the same. Monte Carlo on its own is very good for melee builds already, so it's just a cherry on top. So, but that's my thought. But Catalyst, Thorn finally got a Catalyst. That's awesome. PvP, rejoice. PvE, you get overflow naturally even without the Catalyst. That's cool. I think we need more Catalysts. There's more guns that need love. Whisper. I wish Whisper kind of has some usage. It's just not as good. I really feel that Whisper needs to be put into the special slot and then maybe reworked so it's not like overly oppressive in that slot. But I just generally don't ever see me ever using Whisper again. All right, continuing on the train of some positives, the big successes, we want to look back at, and this is controversial, and people are going to hate me for this, bringing back seasonal missions as GMs. Don't worry, we'll talk about the negatives of that side of things. But I do want to say that at least in PvP, you're going to be really mad. At least PvE is getting some getting some content to make GMs refreshing to some degree. There are some bullcrap GMs that are just obviously they were not made, or the battle ops were not made for GMs, and you can really feel it by the opening sections of a battle ops where there's like 20 champions, because Bungie only knows difficulty as let's plug in 20 champions because that's hard. I find it more annoying than hard, because if you just play smart and safe, they're more like roadblocks from you to speed run it. They're not, to my opinion, champions just make things easier than like high level bar shielded enemies that are more annoying or more tanky. Champions, just you stun them and you just nuke them and you're fine. But I'm glad that we have options. I'm glad we're not playing the corrupted every season when it feels fresh to come back to the corrupted. Like we haven't had corrupted in a minute, right? It's nice. So I'll give them that as a success. Again, that's controversial. Some people are gonna disagree with that, and that's your opinion. That's your right. I know I've seen it. People hate battle ops. People hate seasonal content coming back as GMs. But my opinion is I paid for that content and they remove it. At least when I play a GM, I don't have to pay for it again. It's something I've already paid for and it's now in the game permanently. That's great. And if you didn't pay for it at all, just see it as free. All right? If you didn't pay for that season, you just got some free GMs that you didn't have to pay for. What else? Let's see. What else? I think, and here's another controversial. Crota's End revamp. There's people that hate Crota. They hate it. They hate it. They never liked it in Destiny 1. But I'm going to be honest. I love it. It felt day one was much harder than Nezarec. It was more intense. It was fun. I love the armor. We'll put that as a W too. Let's talk about that. Bungie did something that they didn't do with the Vault of Glass. Glow armor from Age of Triumph. The armor looks good if you liked it. If you didn't like it in any season or any year, whether the original year of Crota for D1 or the Age of Triumph, you didn't like it regardless. But if you like the armor, like we ate good, we got the armor, right? And that's something that I love the armor. I love the aesthetic. Being able to actually have it, like, that's awesome. That's a W. Because they didn't have to do that, right? They didn't have to give us the glow of Age of Triumph. They could have gave us the generic armor. Because usually the nice stuff is reserved for the Eververse. You usually have to pay for the glow. So being able to get the Age of Triumph glow set that's improved upon the base set, I think is a W. But all in all, Crota was great. Like Crota, I solo Crota both in this version and the OG. I remember I soloed all of Crota's End. Back in D1, before they patched the bridge, I literally ran through as a hunter, the original sword skate across the bridge, and I soloed Crota by myself. Now, you got to do that by yeeting him, which is kind of poetic, because you yeet him instead of killing him or unplugging your Ethernet cord in D1. You actually just got to yeet him, which is hilarious. But I did solo him. It made me feel good to do it again. to solo Crota. Let's see. Continuing on. Here's another controversial one, and this will be in my review in the future. Look forward to the review of the Season of the Wish. I'm just letting it cook a little bit, right? I think next week might be the last real big story. We'll see. I just want to give a fair shake and kind of see how the missions play out. The coil, I think, is a success. I think the coil is the closest that we got to the menagerie. There's different pathways, like the menagerie. There's different bosses, like the menagerie. The only criticism that I have is for your day-to-day people, it's not going to be as rewarding if you don't go all the way to the end, because it gets harder and harder and harder and harder. Menagerie was pretty much the same level throughout the whole thing, unless you did the master version of it or the legend version, right? But this one is more for you play the gauntlet. It's a gauntlet. And the transversing is probably the platforming between is probably not the worst that we've had. I would say Season of the Deep had the worst activity transitioning. Just going through the water was so boring and tedious. And you couldn't really speed through that. At least with a coil, you can use grapple, you can sword across, all you have to do is hit the 3 plates, and you're bing, bang, boom. And in between those, you get weapons, you get loot. So you're rewarded in between, which is hot, and goes to the next point, that the Season of the Wish being very, very rewarding. Season of the Wish this year was a fat success. That it rewarded you from the coil. It rewarded you from the star-crossed. Like, you can get the seasonal weapons from Star-Crossed. You've gotten several red borders for the Undying weapons. So you get loot there. You get some actual viable loot until you don't need it anymore, right? Then it's not as good. But the coil, you get in between every section, there's loot. Every level. Going through the first section, the platforming, loot. Finishing the first challenge, you get loot. Section, loot. Next section, loot, 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 until you get to like the very end of the hardest difficulty, and it is just a room full of chests, and you get like 3 or 4 of them. I don't remember specifically. I'll do that more detailed for my review for the season. But the coil is very rewarding. I've gotten like almost all my weapons craftable by just doing a couple of coil runs, and I got like max rank. I've already reset my wish rank just doing that. So hot diggity, the coil is probably the best seasonal experience activity I've had all year long. By none. It is the less intrusive, less boring. It actually makes you engage with activity, with it getting harder and harder. Yes, could you have made things harder last season in Season of the Witch? Yeah, but you didn't. The rewards weren't there. It didn't feel like the difficulty didn't match the rewards. Whereas as things get harder, at the end you're rewarded with a crap ton of loot, and in between you're getting a crap ton of loot. All right, moving on. Let's talk. I do want to give credit for that though. We have to talk about it. The crafting. Bungie not resetting the server. What's up, Age Old Toaster? How's it going, man? On YouTube. The crafting. Huge. Huge. That was probably one of the most game-breaking times we've ever had in Destiny history. And Bungie did not roll back the servers. People got to keep their trials loot, their GM loot. I ran because this was what was it? What was the weapon? The Warden's Law. Yes, I ran 48, almost I think 50 of those GMs, and I've got multiple Warden's Laws. I got my God roll. It's not like it is to me. It's a 5 out of 5. Some people like, oh well, that's not the right mag perk. To me, it's 100% a 5 out of 5 roll. But I did 50 runs. I maxed out, got a bunch of exotics. I got a bunch of balls that I used on my exotics. And Bungie could have reset all that, right? They could have been like, oh no, people are doing raids. People did flawless runs. It was probably the funnest time to be on Destiny. So much so that if you look back at that history, if you look at the time, there was such an uptick or such a return to Destiny. People who hadn't played in years came back just to play the crafting. And in my review, I did a crafting video. I specifically said people came back to Destiny because it was fun. People want crazy. They want moments of broken and feeling like a god. I think you can have difficulty, but there needs to be moments where you feel like a god that isn't like your day-to-day trash patrols. Right? Yeah. But it was such a success that they did not roll back the servers. They could have really just made the whole community upset by doing that. But they didn't, and they also didn't ban people. There were so many people that are wanting people to get banned for it. And they're like, no, we're not doing that. That's on us. And that's another approach. Let's put that there. Bungie's approach on exploits, glitches, in-game. 2023. Still ongoing. I had to put the little because Bungie has always had this approach. But even with all the things going on with Bungie right now, they have still maintained the same approach to exploits and glitches that are in the game. Getting out of map and Crucible and getting kills. That's on us, not on the player. The crafting was probably the biggest example of that, of exploits and glitches. Bungie does not ban or allow people to be banned for things that are inside the game, which is not pro-typical in the gaming world. Anthem, there was glitches there, banned a lot of players. Diablo, I'm thinking banned some people. There's a lot of games that have a zero policy, whether it's in-game or not. They do see exploits or glitching as cheating, which I think they're wrong. And luckily, Bungie has that same approach. So I have to give them that W, that success, for continuing to think that approach where they could have been really anti, you know what, just ban people. Next, we have, again, this is going to upset, I think some people are really going to be torn on this, PvP. Trying new things. Or labs. Let's do labs. I think whether you hate how the PvP is, how you hate how the cheaters, we're not talking about that like that. We're not talking about the cheaters. We're talking about them trying new game modes. Whether they're good, whether they're bad, we have to give them credit for trying new things. Whether I don't like, I like Fortress. Fortress is fun. In like Iron Banner. Everything else I don't care. I hate Domain and Trials. And most people do hate Domain and Trials. It's just not fun. But they tried something different. Checkmate. Whether you hate it or like it, I never really cared to play it because, well, I just don't care. But Checkmate, that's something different, right? They're trying new things. Relic, I did play Relic. It was crazy. We're using all these old seasonal weapons. The Scythe, the Vault of Glass shield. A lot of cool stuff they're trying. Not the game mode I play a lot all the time. Momentum. Momentum was definitely one of those. And I like Momentum for just playing of games that you just want to get quick kills and just play around. It reminds me of Call of Duty Hardcore mode, which is great. So, trying new things. That's a good. Whether you like PvP the way it is, we'll get to that. And trust me, we have critiques, but let's look at the successes. This is kind of funny. Freeing us from Gambit challenges. Listen, no one who wanted to play Gambit, no one who does not want to play Gambit wants to have to feel like they have to play Gambit for the seasonal challenges. No one. No one wants to be like, I have to do this. Please, please, please set me free. And they did. We don't have to do it. They took it away. Whether you love Gambit or you feel like they abandoned it, I still think it's a success for the people who don't like Gambit. You're not forced to have to play it. Moving on. Continued changes to trials in regard to rewards. I think instead of doing the whole stale way of doing rewards, they continue to change how you get rewards, what kind of rewards you get, and how frequent you get those rewards. I have to give them credit. They have a new track where you get going 7 wins. You get all these different, you get gear, being able to focus, trials weapons, whether you're getting adepts or not. And here's the real deal. Adepts, it feels good to have an adept for adept mods. But the real deal is, it is such an if you really just like take your brain and look at the bigger picture. First off, most trial weapons aren't that big of a deal, unless you're talking about the Immortal SMG, then that's the difference. But you could use the basic version and you will still get the same results. Trust me, I'm a tryhard. I do adept GMs, or I do GMs to get adept weapons because I need the good. It's an addiction. I have an issue. I get it. But you don't need it. You can get the base version. If it's a good weapon, it's still good at base. You trust me. So I love the cotoidled. I love how I type sometimes. Continued changes. That's good. I do also have some negatives, but we'll talk about that in the other section. All right, we also have exotic rotator. Bringing back exotics and introducing new perks on them. That's a big thing, making it fresh for people who already have the exotics, and can farm older seasonal weapons or red borders. I think that's fantastic. FOMO is a big issue in Destiny. Even though they talked about we want to reduce FOMO, FOMO still heavily exists in Destiny. I can only imagine what it's like to be a new player and you need this. Like, what is a weapon that, let's say, Scattered Signal. After this season, which I hate about Destiny and the seasonal model, the last season is the one that you get the least amount of time to get things. Not in this case. We have 6 months. So if you don't get anything within 6 months, that's on you. But in the grand scheme of things, in a normal season and how it's been in the past, you don't have enough time, or you don't have as much time as other seasons to grind things out. Like, you kind of have to do it in one season or you miss out. At least the exotic rotator gives you that option, that availability to go back and get some of those weapons that maybe you're just not feeling you have to chase this season, or you don't want to chase, or you don't have time. Like, people have lives. Not everyone is a full-time streamer. Not everyone's like me, who has exceptional amount of time after doing their 6 to 3 or 2 o'clock, whatever my timeline is. People don't have that option to have 4 hours to play every day. People have families. They're not single. So this is nice. And we have to give credit to Bungie that allows new players, returning players, or maybe you're a veteran who just didn't have time that season, or you just couldn't be bothered because you're tired of Destiny and you're like, I'll do this later. You have a slot to go farm those seasonal weapons. That's great. And I know we've had Dares of Eternity that has some of that too. But you can only do so many dares, and having an almost guarantee with, I think, Master, you almost get a guarantee red border. I don't know. It's been a minute since I've done Exotic Rotator. Moving on. That's actually it for my list. If you all have anything else, let me know in the comments section below. This will be a video. I think it's fair. You guys give me what you think were Bungie successes, but this is what I think are successes. Moving on. Let's go to 2023. Bungie failures. And there's a lot. A lot, I mean. So hold on to your butts. Get you a drink. This is for all the people who thought I was never critical of Bungie. Hold on to your butts. I'm doing the whole Jurassic Park. Hold on to your butts. We're about to open up. All right, we've got to start off with Lightfall. Obviously, it was the first thing that kicked off this year. And Lightfall, I'm packaging all this, what I'm about to criticize, under one banner, right? So let's kick off with the story. Specifically, the Witness, the MacGuffin. I think the biggest letdown in the Destiny history of stories. There was nothing more disappointing than the Witness, and that it was all about the MacGuffin. We did not, when you play Lightfall, you don't know what the MacGuffin does. You don't know why it's important. You don't even know what even is the MacGuffin other than the name. But all you know is that the Witness wants it. Callus needs to give it to the Witness. And that's it. I'll say it again. I've said it in several reviews. Lightfall, you could watch the first cutscene on YouTube of the expansion and then watch the last cutscene of the expansion. And you have the full story of Lightfall. You miss absolutely nothing of value. You have the full story of Lightfall. I think that's pretty well accepted by the community by now. So let's move on because we have a lot. So the characters. It's pretty apparent that no one likes Nimbus. I think he's really annoying. My biggest problem is that he was too bubbly. They tried to make another Cade, but even Cade was serious when you needed to be serious. But like Rohan dies and there's like a moment of sadness, and then Nimbus is back to his normal self. It's not until you do the exotic mission that you actually feel any repercussions of Nimbus and his character development. Like, it feels backwards. It feels really, really backwards. He was way too chill and like goofy for a death. Rohan, what a useless character. It is probably the worst. I hate movies and games where they introduce you to characters. They don't do character development. They don't make you feel attached to that character, and then they just kill it off thinking, oh, shock value. Oh no, sad. But it was such a stupid, and it makes no sense. His death, story death makes no sense. Because the point of his death is that Callus is trying to blow up the Veil. like there's a bomb, and that's why Rohan sacrifices himself so he doesn't blow up the veil. But the witness needs the veil not blown up. Makes no sense. Moving on. Weapons, including exotics. No one uses them. Minus the raid weapons, which I would still argue that there's almost a lot of people who don't touch those either. I think it is pretty sad when I don't see anyone using any of the trash weapons from this DLC, this expansion. Not only is it just reused assets, they're just underwhelmingly boring. And the exotics are bad. The only exotic that got love was the heavy exotic, and it's because it was glitching and doing really crazy damage. Now no one uses it. Even with them reducing the self damage, no one uses it because it's bad. It's pretty bad. Like, I think, and here's my deal. I think it should get the anarchy treatment where it doesn't stack against like bosses. Like, obviously people are shooting like multiple of them and just destroying bosses. I think it should be a anarchy effect where one does a lot of damage, but you can only use one. Like, multiple orbs will just cancel out the other, and it does nothing except for maybe add clear. Like, you need to only use one. But minus the raid weapons, no one uses these exotics or the legendary weapons. Root of Nightmares was a letdown. Like, I want to like it. I like the theme. I like the idea of Nezarec. But he's just like a Dollar General version of Rolk. Like, they really wanted to try to copy pasta Rolk without copy pasting Rolk. And what they ended up doing was making Rolk, but with platforms, and it immediately nullified the threat that Rolk possessed. Because Rolk, there was no hiding. You were stuck. You had to avoid, dodge. It was like playing Dark Souls against bosses. Like, you had to roll, not say roll, but you definitely had to avoid the boss. Nezarec, it was, we're going to camp on the plate, and he's just going to sit there and teleport around, which is probably the most annoying thing about him. And I think his boss design in general is bad, because even if you wanted to roam, there's too many things that could block things. Like, it's not easy to transverse the area. It's a little big. But in general, Root Nightmares, it was easy. It was day one, but it just, outside of the planets, the engagement of it was very boring. All right, moving on. Here's your time to shine, PvP. The biggest failure, PvP. Waiting to make map pack at the end of the game's life. You love that. You love to see that maps are finally being added to the game at the end of the game's life. Ha-ha. That's great, right? You love that. What else? Waiting to make a group to focus on PvP. It wasn't until things hit the pan that Bungie's like, you know what? We might need a group to actually focus on PvP. Who knows? Because the team that was there, that probably was focusing on PvP, moved to Marathon. And they never bothered focusing on PvP. Why? Because Gambit, PvP, and strikes, just basic strikes, don't provide money because they're free. Why focus on the free stuff when you could focus on the paid stuff? And you could argue, well, Trials gets the same treatment. Huzzah, there you go. But at least Trials does get some love and more attention than the basic core list. But, like, obviously tuning and stuff like that's an issue. Cheaters! My God, when I talked about Grenadier Jake going off, they're like, you don't have the context. You don't play PvP. You don't understand. Yes. I have had to fight cheaters too. When people just, I jump and they know exactly where I'm jumping and they click my head with a sniper, or they barrel stuff me with an SMG DMT where it's just like, I'm like, okay, so we're net libbing, cool. Or people who have heavy when they shouldn't have heavy, or using supers when they shouldn't be using supers so early. Been there, done that. So yes, I understand cheaters. And the biggest thing is cutting the core support staff who deals with cheaters, because obviously they're not there anymore. They either cut them completely or disabled that team to where they're barely functioning. Just because I critique Grenadier Jake for being toxic in a moment did not mean that I ignored the fact that it is a criticism that cheaters exist. That's why it's in my list. It is a huge failure on Bungie that they've dropped, that we have so many cheaters. Especially after we had such a success of suing the cheat makers, and we've just kind of like dropped off. Like, what happened to that? At the beginning of the year, we were suing people, and now we're just cheaters are rampant. Like, what's going on? Are we just like, I know priorities, right? Your company's going under. The last thing you want to do is put focus on suing people. But hey, you might get more money out of it than it takes. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. More for PvP. I think we can all agree, removal of freelance nodes. No one complained about this. Trials. Iron Banner. Comp. I think it might still be in comp. I'm not for sure. But my point is, no one wanted freelance to go away. Heck, even the sweaties of the sweaties did not say anything about the freelance. It was nice. I went flawless pretty often in freelance. Was it easy? No, I still had to play and work for it. But it was easier than going against a team that had communication. Communication gives a massive advantage. It doesn't guarantee a win, but it does give you an advantage when the other team doesn't have communication. So I think that was such a failure to remove freelance nodes. And you could say, well, it didn't. I don't remember specifically when they removed it. Let me find out. Wait, they're removing it from Gambit now? Okay, so they're removing it for... I didn't know that was a thing. Ew, disgusting. January. Okay, so yeah, so it looks like in January there wasn't for Iron Banner. So they were obviously removing freelance node, which is a huge L, a huge failure from Bungie. And they're also removing it from Gambit, which if I'm forced to play against teams, I'm just going to, if I have to get completions, I'm just going to throw the entire time. I don't care. It's toxic, but it's toxic to force me to play against a stack team when I don't want to play Gambit in general. And I'm forced to play against stacks. Let's see. Trials. Forcing singles to pair with duos. No one wants to do that. No one. It's not fun. It's not exciting. Again, communication's a big thing. If I'm a solo and I have a duo and they're talking to each other and I'm in a gunfight and then they run away in the middle while I'm aiming down sights, and I think they're with me, but they decide to talk to each other and they're gonna backtrack. Granted, could they solos do that? Could individual people do? Yes, but it's less likely to happen if they're not talking to people, right? And people are like, that's a skill issue, blah blah blah. Like, I just don't want to be in duos. I don't want to go against duos. I just want to be solo versus solos. How hard is that to understand? Trials, see, they're doing reworks to trials, being stingy with rewards after losing flawless. I think that is a huge issue. And I get it. They don't want people to get everything in 1 week because then they don't do trials and that drops engagement. But here's the deal. Here, you want to know how you solve that? Another L that is consistent. It's not new to 2023, but it's continued. Mementos not dropping after getting first one. I think that's an L. I don't understand why we have to be stingy about mementos and trials when you can farm your heart's content for Nightfall mementos. You have a random chance to get Gambit, which I've already used mine. Like, why are we being so greedy with trials mementos? And here, you want me to be fair about trials mementos? You know what would be fair is if I went flawless, I get my original memento, I turn in my card for my flawless weapon. If I get another card, whether it's flawed or not, if I get 7 wins, I can turn it to get a weapon, because that's a thing you can do. And then I have a chance, or maybe guaranteed, depending on what you want to do. I would say guaranteed, but you have a chance of getting a memento with that adept weapon for trading in a 7-card win after your first flawless, right? You have to go flawless first time, get the original, and then you can farm your adept weapon by giving 7-card wins, turn them in. You have a chance. I think it should be guaranteed because 7 wins is not always easy. But you get your 7 wins, you turn in, you can effectively farm your mementos, and it's encouraging engagement in the game. Like, it's not being just handed out. You have to play. You have to get 7 wins, which is not like you're not always going to get back-to-back 7 wins. So you're probably playing a bunch of games. I just don't see why we're being stingy with loot in 2023. Especially when GMs, you got in-game PvP versus in-game PvE. You play one GM, you get exotics, you get ascendants, you get the adept weapon, you get the GM memento every run. And effectively, a GM run is shorter and easier than going flawless. Make it make sense. I think the stinginess of loot is ridiculous, and it makes no sense. Moving on for PvP. Here you go. Everyone hates it except for casuals. But here's the thing. An arcade playlist. 6s are arcades. Let's get this through. And it's not just a Destiny issue. It is every game. Call of Duty, Halo. It is a sweat my balls off experience every time I get online in a game. I remember the good old days. Destiny 1, where you get a new weapon, whether it's meta or not, and you could play, and you could get a lobby where you could just have fun with that weapon. It wasn't like playing comp 6s or trial 6s. It wasn't like you have to use the meta crap. And I'm like a 1.1 KD 6s. My trials is always fried and will ever be fried because I don't play in a way that cares about KD. Because one, I I literally throw, and that's going to trigger people, but I throw when we're losing, or I back out. If I get a chance of being suspended, I just throw and just like, let's get this crap done over with. Because I play for fun. And if I'm not having fun, then there's no reason to just sit there and bash my head against the wall. But in general, when I play sixes, I try to have fun. And if I'm not having fun, then it's not good. And it's mostly SBM, right? Like, there's literally times, and I'm not saying like I'm a god. I can play really good, and I can have make some major plays. But God, there's times where I feel like I am the top dog in my team, and I'm over here with like a 2 point something while my team's like 0.0, and the other team has like 1 point, 2 point something all across the board. It is sweaty, and the reason I do so good is because I play smart. I fall back while the minions just run forward and die. I pick off the dudes who aren't paying attention, and so I can rack up a lot of kills. But it's not fun because I had to sit in the back and play like I'm playing trials or comp. But yes, SBM, big issue. All right, moving on. Again, we have a lot. Vault space. Y'all thought we weren't going to talk about it. We need more. We need more vault space. We just need more. With all the craftable crap, we need vault space. And I have gone through and deleted a lot of weapons I don't use, but the more and more craftable stuff we get, the more, and armor and exotics. Like, think how we get multiple exotics. That's more slots if I want a god roll for a build. All that takes up space. It sucks. And I deleted all old weapons, retired, sunsetted, old materials. Like, all that stuff is not in my space. I literally just use new weapons or crafted. It's a struggle. Let's see. What else? Inventory management. I don't think people are really talking about this, and it's a big issue for Destiny. For seasonal, separate space for keys, collectibles, junk. And let's look in game. Look at all the junk that takes up space in our inventory. Why is there not a separate tab like for modifications, which is the most useless? Like, why does this even exist? I can see sweaty confetti. Not really. At this point, it should just be an auto unlock. But all this is ornaments. This should go to your weapon tab. Like right here. When you get an ornament, it should just be here. Why do we have a tab dedicated to ornaments? This space right here could be used for keys or all this other junk. Or what about mementos? There's not a lot of them. Why can't we have like a memento page or material page just for materials? Like this engram tracker is taking up a consumable slot now. Why isn't that just a page on its own? Like, this exists for no reason anymore. And you could say, what about stuff you get the store? I think it should be in your collections. Your armor. There should be a slot where if it's an ornament, it goes there. You have to manually unlock it from there. And once you unlock it, you paid for it, or you can hit refund. But once you unlock it in the collectibles section, wherever you want to put it here, they could literally make a tab for collections for the store. But this is ridiculous. All this crap. And a lot of it's seasonal, which goes to my next issue, right? The biggest issue, seasonal clutter. Let's see. We've got fish tackle from the season. We've got salvage key. We've got the deep dive key. We have the, from the expansion, we have the terminal overload key. From the seasonal, we have witch key. We have the defiant key. We have the lair key. We've got robust offering. We've got feeble offering. We've got powerful offering. Why is half my freaking consumable slots seasonal junk? Seasonal clutter. And not only that, there's no way for me to choose how I want to toggle it. Just newest versus quantity versus rarity. Like, there's no sort. Also, strand meditation. Like, why does that exist? It's a currency, but why can't it be here with the rest of the currency? Why isn't all currency in one slot up here? Why is this literally not its own? It literally is a currency. This is currency. Why is that not there? Is that am I blowing a big deal out of it? Yes, I am, but that's a failure, right? Criticism, improvement, small things add up. And when I'm baking 30 cookies and I can't even keep them in here because my crap is full, and I can't deposit half of this, then yes, it's an issue. 100% is an issue. What else do we got? A big one. Build crafting watered down. No additional or no additions or improvements. I think that's a sin for this game. That we have loadouts, but they watered the experience. They nerfed, they reduced our build crafting, what we can do, and they continue to like nerf mods, but they don't add new mods. They don't add new ways specifically to build in outside of exotics, which is great. But what about the rest of the build? What about why? So take, for instance, Diablo 4. Every season they introduce new aspects aspects. They introduce new things on how to play each character, specific to that character. We have not got anything new for our subclasses, whether light or dark, right? We haven't really got a lot. Yes, Strand has gotten some new ones, but that's just to bring it up to the par of what other subclasses have. Imagine if every season we got at least one new aspect that was to build into the fantasy of something, right? What if warlocks have a new aspect that builds into weakening or volatile, that isn't just use grenade, pick up orb, volatile, like super kills cause, I don't know. I'm not developing here. I'm just comparing to Diablo 4, where they introduce seasonal aspects, introduce new things, and granted, their seasons is several months, maybe a little bit more than Destiny, but at least they're doing something that Bungie is not doing with Destiny. So, and like I said, I like the exotic build into, that's fantastic. But I think we need mods and we need aspects. We need more variety. And I know why they don't want to do it, because it's more balancing that they have to do, and it's more work, and they don't want to do it. That's why they watered down the build crafting. That's why they nerfed certain builds instead of adding different variety. It's a big issue with Destiny. Here's my favorite. The one thing that I've always been hypercritical of Bungie about. Economy. I did a whole video on economy, and people railed me about complaining about it. While there is a good portion that was on my side. But this is what I can't take the Destiny 2 community serious, because there's always people who just don't understand what it means to criticize something without it implying that the game is trash or bad. Criticism is just things that can be improved. Whether small or big, it does not matter. The point is, criticism is like, hey, we can do better on this part, make it a better experience, and it's good for everyone. But people can't critical think. It's hard. I get it. It's hard. Critical thinking is hard. But the economy. Removal of legendary shards. Because it was hard to get. Per Bungie. I would argue that I would say legendary shards are easier to get than what we have now, which is enhancement cores. Now the new legendary shards. Still hard to get. Not easy. Dedicated sources. Not, let's see, what's the word? Not respectful amount received. I think this is a big thing. The reason people hated legendary shards is it took a lot of time to get, and you needed it for everything. But enhancement cores are now the new legendary shards. And they have always been an issue. Since the inception of a legendary or enhancement cores, they have always been hard to get. They've always been a struggle to get. And yes, there's other people who never masterwork and have got stacks and stacks and stacks. But I think even them are struggling now that they've been leveling up their weapons so they can use. But the point is there's not a dedicated source. And the same issue for enhancement cores, the same issue with legendary shards is Bungie's like, the economy is not nice and blah, blah, blah. But Bungie is literally the one that runs the economy. You can't say that legendary shards are a problem when you are the problem. The reason people struggle to get anything in the economy is because you made it that way. They were talking about how it's unfair that some people had more while others had less because you're the one that made it that way. The reason why people have more is because they found exploits. They found ways to cheat the system because your system sucks. It's not fair. It's not reasonable. It's not respectful amount of the time that people spend in your game. And so they're doing away with legendary shards. Now everything costs enhancement cores. There's not a dedicated, it's like you dismantle a weapon, you always got legendary shards. You dismantle a weapon, you might have a chance at getting enhancement cores. It's not guaranteed. You do a GM, you get 3 cores. I did a regular Vanguard strike, and I got like 1 or 2. I think 1 enhancement core. But a GM, the hardest in-game content besides a day 1 raid. GMs can take from a basic team from 20 to 30 minutes, depending on your team. Maybe 15 if you're really going for it. And you get 3 enhancement cores at the end. Yep, that's... What can 3 enhancement cores do? Well, you can craft 1 weapon. That's cool. What about masterworking? What? Master what? Oh, masterworking? You know, the thing that we're not going to act like no one else does and no one else tries to do and no one considers in their god rolls a 5 out of 5 is also the masterwork. Let's not live in that world where we don't care about that, because we all do. Yeah, you can't do that masterworking. Or what about levels? How many levels can you get by using enhancement cores? Well, let's look. New weapon, or level 3, not that much. How much does it take to level it up? Wow, I can get 1 level at level 3 for 2 enhancement cores. That's great. I love that. And is it really game breaking if I use a lot of enhancement cores to level up my gun? I mean, no. Especially when everyone has the same option. I don't know. It's just, it's such, the economy is such a a negative spot for me. It's not like I'm breaking the game either. I've used a lot, but I had like 15k and I've just been burning them. But it's not game breaking. This is the stupid silver crap is, and it annoys me that I still have 100 that I'll just never use. But the economy, it is still a problem. It will always be a problem. It sucks. It sucks. And now we can put this up here too. Stasis neglected. Season of the Wish was not about stasis as advertised. Minimal buffs. It's the season of solar. Let's be honest here. Everything solar is hot right now. Stasis got shafted. We were made to think like, oh wow, stasis is really getting love. There's going to be a lot of stasis mods, and it's solar. Yes, there's some Stacy mods, but not enough that's like, wow, it's better. It's the best thing. It's like really good. And it's like, no, solar. Solar's hot. It's crazy. And then voice options obviously suck. Not having those options still suck. Again, it's a quality of life change. Oh, back to economy. We can't forget that. There's still some other things. Limited carry capacity for resources, for rare resources. Why? Why? Diablo doesn't cap. Games like Diablo doesn't cap. It just makes a different stack. Like you, instead of having just one stack of Ascendant shards, or say, I don't care about this, but let's say terminal overload keys. In Diablo, if this was the item, you would just have a new stack at 5. It would be 5 and then another stack. But Destiny is like, oh, you hit the cap, you're maxed out, you can't carry anymore. Awesome. Awesome. Also, while we're talking about economy, let's talk about this. Bungie said they're going to introduce new ways of getting like deep site harmonizer. What happened to that? Where's that at? Where's that at? Where's the deep site harmonizers? What about exotic ciphers besides Zur and the season pass? Why aren't there more options for that? Again, a lot of things that should be taken care of, but it is what it is. What else? A biggest L, increase in basic core activity cost for reasons. They did away with legendary shards, and now things cost enhancement cores or glimmer. And now they increase the cost for focusing engrams. And something I didn't realize until just now, which really irritates me. And it makes me wonder, just like, why? Right, so everything's increased. This is the C's, what you can do. It now costs 3 versus 1. And I've done a couple GMs, and I've only gotten like 6 of these. And most of them are from ranks. And I can tell you, if it was last season, I would have like 10 or something. Or not 10 or something, but I would be able to get like 10 weapons. And now I can only, after getting the Fable, doing multiple GMs, I can only get 3 weapons. Unless, of course, it's the new one, which is great. The new weapon is guaranteed. You need to focus it that season. But something else that you need to be aware of is Nightfall weapons cost a lot. Unless you've, see, I can get the fusion for 5. Focusing a Nightfall weapon costs 5. The Adept weapon cost 5. Why does it cost 5 and 10 Nightfall ciphers? You have to do so. when you're not actually like doing double, I believe you get 1 Nightfall cipher per run, or maybe 2. I think it's 1. I could be wrong. But then you have to use 5 for 1. Why? Why? Who is this for? It's not for new players. It's not really for returning players. This is obviously, GMs are meant for veterans or people who are hardcore playing the game. So why, to get 1, do I have to play multiple GMs to get ciphers, and then I have to pay up the butt and Vanguard engrams? Because obviously if I'm doing multiple runs to get enough ciphers, then obviously it's not like it's a challenge, like I need to cut corners. It's just nice to have that extra, reward. And now it's like, I'm never going to do this unless it's a week that I just don't want to touch. Like as Uzume, if it comes back around and I do not feel like farming, but I have a 10 stack and some Vanguard engrams, sure. For instance, this season, I don't care about the weapon, and I've already got what I want out of these. So sure, maybe I'll, if I have extra, I'll pop it, right? It is so dumb. Back to it, shall we? So economy, right? Garbage. Now we come to the biggie. We come to the big one. The where we start talking about seasons. This is not like a mini review. This is just me talking about each season. Season of Defiance. Biggest letdown. That's not it. That's the wrong season. Season of Defiance makes 0 cents. Witness cares about friendship. There. Season of Defiance makes 0 cents. Witness cares about friendship. Like that's literally like a joke, but that's like the general thing about Season of Defiance. Witness wants to defeat our morale, the power of friendship. He doesn't like it. But in Lightfall, Osiris literally says, we were never considered a threat. The Witness never cared about us. And Callus was too busy chasing after the MacGuffin to send his army to Earth. Like, he was literally the lapdog of the Witness. And so, who was going... And it's not like the Witness sent the Cabal to Earth. Because the Witness was staring at the Traveler the entire time. I guess twiddling his thumbs. That's another issue. The story, literally, of Lightfall is the Witness spending the entire time staring at the Traveler. I guess talking to himself and plotting. I have to look it up. There's my tags. All right, let's look. Season of Defiance, Amanda death, because that's a big one, right? Let's look at this. We have to observe this because I have to see. Not this part. Let's see. Well, let's count how many people. Okay, so we've got 3 dregs and 2 humans. Three dregs and 2 humans. Let's keep going. 1, 2. Oh wait, we got more people. For some reason, those The two dregs turn into humans. The two dudes were dregs, but now they're humans. Wow. I kid you not. You can't make this up. This is the biggest sin. All right, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5. There's 5 people. We see 5 people in another cutscene, and then we see 5 at the end. And it keeps changing whether it's either it's 3 dregs or 4 humans. For some reason, they're inconsistent about this. But this right here is throwing away Amanda Holiday for 5 dudes. We lost a core character that we've had history with, we've connection with, and we threw her away. We gave her like this all-inspiring death for 5 dudes. You know what would have made sense here? Honestly, truthfully, do you know what would have made sense? Why she would risk or sacrifice her life? Is this entire season of Defiance, they were playing with the relationship between her and Crow. Literally, there was a joke of him getting killed by her and then being resurrected. That could have been such a good foreshadowing of Aramis or the Witness, which again, it's the Witness setting the trap. Makes no sense why the Witness would kidnap 5 dudes to kill the Guardian and Amanda, or at least the Guardian. It would have made sense if it was Crow that was kidnapped, right? Crow's had a connection with the darkness. The Witness is, the darkness is. Aldrin Solve was used by the darkness. It could be the darkness trying to use Aldrin Solve, Crow, but it could have been Crow, right? Crow was kidnapped or is now being held hostage. At the beginning, we rescue her, and so it's a reverse. And in order to save his life, their boyfriend, girlfriend, she has feelings for him. She sacrifices her life to save Crow. It would have made more sense. But we threw away a character for 5 dudes. 5 dudes. 5. We didn't save an army. We didn't save a settlement. We saved 5 dudes. Make sense. Season of Defiance, also very forgettable weapons, including exotic glaive. Which, calling something Excalibur or calling something Vexcalibur was such a failure of a moment that wasn't a sword. Like, I don't remember King Arthur pulling out a pole from the rock. Again, it's cute if it made sense, if it was actually a sword. On play on words, it did not work, for me at least. What else? Seasonal activity, very boring. Story had no impact on bigger picture. Nothing matters from it. The story of Defiance has no impact on the story. Like, zero, zip, nothing actually impact. In fact, it's such a forgotten thing that even Crow has forgotten that his girlfriend is dead. He's moaning and groaning about other things. He's just everyone has forgotten about Amanda. No one has talked about Amanda. No one's talked about her sacrifice. She is just literally thrown out into Season Defiance. In this entire year, we have done nothing. There's a monument to Cade, and people are still talking about Cade to this day, but no one's talking about Amanda because screw her, right? Screw Amanda. I'm not like a stand for Amanda. I'm just saying, like, if it was Savala, people would riot. I'm just saying it's just pretty bad. Like, I can see Riven's literally toying with Crow this season, and she could literally bring it. And who knows? Maybe she will. We'll have to wait and see if Bungie thought about it. That'll be an interesting thing. But she's literally not bringing up Amanda or saying, "Hey, we could wish for Amanda back" or something like that. Like, I don't know. I don't know how that, even just toying with him about it. All right, next season, Season of the Deep. Not bringing Titan back. We can agree that was a fail. Cut content from Lightfall. Story. Introducing voice content no one knew about. They took content from Lightfall and put it in Season of the Deep that should have been explaining the Veil in the actual campaign of the Lightfall about the Veil. And not only that, but they added voice dialogue that no one knew where it was at. And I know they didn't know where it was at because there is literally a thing tied to a weapon. If you look at like the percentage of people who got this weapon, it was incredibly low. Like almost no one, like 1%, where 0.1% people had this weapon unlocked because no one knew that this thing existed because they put it in the most obscure place in the map. Bingo, that's genius. So that was great. Very boring activity. Worst loot in seasonal history. PvP ruined spare rations. I think most PvP mains will agree on that. But the loot is so forgettable. There's not one weapon that I would tell anyone you have to go get. And it sucks because I love the Taken weapon design. I loved it in D1 where they had the Elders and they introduced the Taken armor and weapons, and it was so good. I love the design of the Taken. I've been wanting Taken legendary weapons, not that we're in exotic ornaments. I want Taken effects. It's so cool. And they're on the worst weapons. Like, I'm coping to try to find weapons to use. It's how bad it is. It is so forgettable. And they're just copy pasta of the same old returning Gambit weapons. That's all that they are. They're literally just Taken versions. They're nothing new. It would have been forgivable if they were good, but they're not forgivable. They're both trash. Both sets of weapons are garbage. Season of the Witch. Ziva didn't do anything. There was no threat. The entire time we're trying to build up Eris, what is she doing? She's making threats. She's challenging us, but there's no threat. I don't feel any pressure. Don't get me wrong, the story is great, but what are we doing? Like, I feel no threat. Ziva is this big baddie. She's this big baddie, big mama, up there with Savathun and Oryx threat level, and there's no threat. We are able to do whatever and anything we want. The biggest threat was the Knight midway, and even that was like, wow, that's really cool. can we see it actually doing something threatening besides just popping up and then us running away or fighting it and then it run away or us killing it? Like, the last mission was great, but outside of that, the whole time the season was, wow, underwhelming. Weapons are forgettable. Outside of the fusion. The fusion's great. Everything else is very forgettable. Nothing else is worth your time. I might do a video on what's worth grabbing and what's not worth grabbing. Seasonal activity letting one person decide the difficulty. I hate activities where one person can just roll up some rando and just choose. Like, if you need to do legendary, and then there's like no vote system. Well, most games have voting. At least 2 out of 3. Like, even like Call of Duty Zombies, if you want to do a mission that pulls people, you have to vote on it. And then if you don't want to do it, it kicks you out. And it should be the same for activities. If you don't want to do harder difficulty, it should just kick you into a different lobby of other people. So you're not forced to have to either do low content that you don't want to do and you're just going to leave anyways, or high content that you want to do that you're also going to just leave anyways. I feel like it's just bad. We're 2023. We need a vote system, like, period. Vote for maps and PvP, but also vote in your PvE content. Pointless cards. Bad, cool idea. Bad implementation. Not tied to individual but team. I liked season. One of the things I like about Season Deep is the rogue activities. I think that was a plus, and I should have put that in there in the pluses. If you're watching this, know that there's a plus, right? Rogue activity, but you got 3 options, and what you choose wasn't what everyone else got. But the cards what you got is what everyone else got. What they got is what you got. And I felt like that was a bad idea. I felt like I should have more agency in what I want. The card system is cool, but a lot of the time I didn't even notice it. It's how the only one that mattered, by the way, was the heavy one, in my opinion. That was the only one that I noticed. Everything else I could never notice or never care about. But the heavy was very noticeable. But having agency on choosing what you wanted, I felt like was better in Season of the Deep with the rogue options. All right, moving on. Season of the Wish. And I'm keeping this very brief because I am going to do a review on it. So, Vex are shoehorned into the story because Black Garden reasons. Everything that happens for some reason is tied to the Black Garden. But why did it need to be in the Black Garden? Because that's where they chose to have it happen. And so the Vex just feel really shoehorned into the season. Like, the Soul Divisive just feels shoehorned. And I understand not wanting it to be another Taken, because we've had Taken and Taken and Taken in seasons. And we've also had Hive, and we've had Cabal. And they're like, well, it's time for Vex to shine. I just feel like there could have been a better tie-in that didn't feel like they're shoehorned in here. Very, small complaint, but revive tokens in a basic seasonal activity. Not a big deal, but for me, but makes no sense outside of a raid or GM. Especially when scoring matters already. I think that just doesn't, why do you have both? This activity relies on you getting platinum. And it's based off score. In GMs, it's based on champions. You get all champions, you always get platinum. So score doesn't matter in GMs, like, at all. Your score has no bearing, no meaning. because you get so many points, it doesn't even matter. Season. Listen, I don't have trouble with the coil, but I think it's really stupid that we have revive tokens and we have scoring. And it's hard. I think we need one or the other. And I get it. You got to have some, instead of people, it gets harder and harder, people are going to wipe. But I think you need one or the other. Either it's tokens or it's score. Both is stupid to me in a basic seasonal activity. Unless you're doing a master version, in which case there's no slot to do a master or legend version. It's just baked in. It's a small complaint. It doesn't impact me, but I'm thinking about the community and it just seems dumb. Short and easy exotic mission baked into the seasonal story. It was short, it was easy, and it's because it's baked into the story. Like, instead of it being on its own like it usually is, they just use the seasonal mission as an actual season, or an exotic mission as an actual seasonal mission, which is very lazy. I think it's very, very lazy. And then, obviously, same seasonal formula after community feedback. The community has told time and time again, we do not like the season. And the formula is the same. Nothing's changed. It is the same formula it has been the past couple years. There has been no changes after critiques and after feedback. And that's all I'm going to say. You can hear more about my critiques about Season of the Wish in the actual review. I might be able to get this done before midnight. One new strike. Relying on retired content instead of making actual strikes. There it is. The people that are upset that that exists, we only got one new strike and there's nothing but reused content. It's lazy. I'm glad they did it. Like, I'm glad to have something. Something's better than nothing. But I have to also critique them on it, saying, hey, it's great that you're giving us something, but it's also very lazy. Like, very lazy. What else? Microtransactions. Every good cause cosmetic tied to store. It is. Everything that's really good is tied to the store. Like, very, very rarely is anything good. There's been rare exceptions. Goes to the deep armor. Exceptional. Crota's and glow armor. Exceptional. But those are rare and far few to come by. Oops. That's out of place, and I didn't mean for it to be out of place. Oh, well. What else? More effort goes into store than actual gear. Yes. Happy New Year. Hello, fishy lips. Hello, hello. I've got a couple of minutes before hitting midnight, so it's not just a new year just yet. More effort goes into the store than actual gear. Yes, I think there's prominent examples of this being true. Warlord's Ruin. Armor. Looks like dog. It looks bad. What else? Starter pack. Yes, the starter pack was just a fantastic way of showing how much they cared about the community. Great. Fantastic. What else? What else do we got? Events. I packaged this together. They're cash grabs. Nothing new. Very boring. Minimal effort put into them. Enough said, right? Enough said. I think that explains a failure on Bungie's part. What else? Dungeons. Ghost. Water parts. Very long and or tedious. I think that was the biggest failure of that dungeon, is that it was very boring in between. It was such a slog to do. Warlord. Loot was bad. I think everything about that dungeon is fantastic. The loot was garbage. All right, Gambit. Abandoned. Right? It's been abandoned. They finally admit, like, without saying it, they admitted that it's done, right? It's caked. Imagine, by the way, it's kind of funny. Think about all the exotics and weapons that were tuned specifically because of Gambit. They were nerfed or weakened, or something about them was changed because of Gambit, and then Gambit's thrown out the door. Like, awesome. I love when weapons are tuned around something that's just been thrown out the window, because that's great. Right? Gambit just doesn't. New player experience. I think that's a big issue. For one, no real improvement. Timeline is nice, but lacks the Red War story. There is no campaign for new players. There's nothing for you to jump in. You have a timeline, but doesn't even include a mission from Red War. The reason and purpose for Destiny 2, which is the Red War, isn't even part of the game. That's a huge failure on Bungie's part. Huge. Bungie communication. You think, wow, that should be a good thing. But here's why it's not. First of the year, devs were attacking other games, Diablo, about their design, which is funny that we have developers from Bungie talking about other people's game designs when they have their own issues. Like, you can't point something out about someone, like another game company and their design, when you have fundamental issues with your game design. And that's why they got railed. That person, I think, deleted their account because of how much they got railed. And rightfully so. You cannot point your finger out to another company when you have issues with your own. What else? Using bad actors as an excuse to avoid communicating at all. Listen, what happened to DMG is unacceptable. And we even have it in our, successes. Suing toxic. This is a Bungie success. Suing toxic people 100% needed to happen. But using that as an excuse not to talk to the community at all is absurd. And I think it was a massive failure on their part. Communication uptick after Bungie or Destiny 2 decline. Bungie having issues in office. Right? Things are going bad for Bungie. Destiny, there's an uptick with communication after there's a decline in the community. Bungie in-house is having issues. It's getting leaked. Everyone's hearing about it. And now suddenly we have more communication after they fire all the community managers. And now there's more communication. And it's at the end of the life cycle of the game, pretty much. Yeah. That's not a success. That's a failure. When your game is dying is when you start talking about it. You start talking to your community. Joe talking to the community after crap hits the pan. Why not from the beginning? Like, Joe is great. I love that Joe communicates and is talked to the community, but it was very PR responsive. Everything that Destiny starts declining, he speaks. crap happens with Bungie and it's leaked, Joe speaks. He is the PR person now because they don't have them apparently. I cannot give credit where credit is not due when it should have been like that from the get-go. Like telling someone to do their job and then they do it and then people expect, well, aren't you going to tell them? Aren't you going to praise them? No, I'm going to praise the people who are already doing the job that they should have been doing. And I'm not saying Bungie isn't doing their job in this instance. I'm just saying communication should have already been ongoing. It's not something new, which goes to not connecting and I'm having a brain fart. Thank you. With the community, like old days streams. Remember Age of Triumph when they were like actually talking to people who were playing the games? They were talking to the stream and it was more personable. They would review things about the game. They had a conversation. It was more connected. And now we just get this very copy pasta video. Like, hey, this is pre-recorded. Enjoy. This is the live stream of a pre-recorded video. And then randomly we have a Q&A video or thing at the end. Yay. That's great. Love that. What else? Oh, we got to say Bungie layoffs. Really bad for them, right? Dramatically impacting morale of the team, which impacts the game, right? If you have a team that the morale is low in, they're not going to put 100% into a game, even if they want to. Stress and depression is a real thing. Dramatic impacting parts of the game like cheating and PvP. We don't have people that are regulating that as much anymore, and it's very noticeable. Revealed the bigger issue of Bungie, and that old Bungie is pretty much dead. Like the Bungie we loved and grew up with in Halo, that Bungie's pretty much gone. Like, honestly, it's pretty much bye-bye. Adios, amigos. Leaders. We got to talk about the leaders, right? The people making the decisions. They don't care about the game. Don't care about the employees. Only care about money. Is killing Destiny 2. Not listening to devs and community. Not taking criticism and applying it to the game. .ex, the example, seasons. They have done nothing to build favor. Not building favor with the community. Nothing is being done to build favor with the community. Nothing. They have done nothing. And I think the biggest failure of Bungie for 2023, nothing has been shown or done to make the community believe that the final shape will pop off and deliver the experience we deserve. Nothing. They've done nothing. Nothing has been shown. There's been no improvements of the game. There's been no favor trying to achieve. There's no reason why we should expect anything to change. There's nothing. We're taking words that could have been made from Chat GPT. Like all these, like, we want this game to be the best, and it may not even be devs. It might be the leaders using Chat GPT. There's nothing. Actions mean more than words, and right now there's been zero actions to encourage the company or show, hey, community, we're changing. We're here. We're doing better. There's nothing that's been done. There's no communication in-house to really explain the process of improving. Just saying we're doing better. Doing better, saying you're doing better isn't actually doing better, right? Actions mean more than words. And that's your list for 2023. We have a lot. We had some good successes, but we had a lot of failures. A lot. And I think a lot of these are agreed upon in the community. And a lot of reason why people are leaving Destiny is because when you look at the bigger picture of the year, all of this adds up. It all adds up, and people are tired of it. So shout out to the people who say, I'm like white knighting for Bungie, or I'm not okay with other streamers or content creators and people in the community criticizing Bungie because you obviously don't know me or anything I do. Because shout out here, hey, criticisms, a lot of them. Imagine that. And guess what? There's not me being toxic. None of this was toxic. This was pretty reasonable and pretty logical. And some of this is pretty much well agreed by most of the company, right? And a lot of this, we know this specifically because employees in the company still, and those who were fired, have pretty much acknowledged and given their side of the story, which there's 100 people. You're going to get some, and even people who weren't fired, right? All those stories coming out give a picture. So yes, you can definitely give criticism to Bungie, and you don't have to be toxic about it. I know it's crazy. It's hard to critically think about things like that. It is so hard. It is so hard to do. And it's also so hard to understand that criticizing a game, it's okay because you just want the game to improve. This isn't me being like, oh, woe is me, Destiny's dying, even though it is in this case because people are getting fired. This is just me wanting to improve something that I love. I'm not trying to take away things that people love. People think change is bad. But all this could be improvement, like more vault space. Who's that gonna hurt? Improved economy, getting more enhancement cores. Who's that gonna hurt? Cleaning up the clutter. Small things like this. Quality of life changes that are criticisms. Who's that gonna kill? Are you going to die? Are you gonna fall over? Oh my God, he's criticizing quality of life changes. Oh, you can't do that. No, my heart can't handle it. Oh, woe is me. I can't handle the change. You can't do that to Bungie. You can't criticize Bungie like that. Oh no. And you think I'm joking, but there's gonna be people that really like try to make it sound like it's a bigger deal. And I'm just saying these are just quality of lives. It's a criticism. It's not like I'm not going to keep playing Destiny if we don't clean up the clutter. In fact, a lot of this probably won't exist anymore because seasons are going out the window anyways. But I'm just saying, quality of life changes. Giving praise where it belongs. All right. I don't know how I want to end this stream because I don't actually plan on streaming much longer. I was gonna maybe play some Destiny. Maybe. I don't know. Not Destiny, but like, I don't know, Fortnite. I don't know what I want to play. Honestly, I think this is just the best way to end the year, right? Happy New Year, guys. If you have anything you want to add to the video down below, go ahead. Again, I'm going to cut this out, upload it, maybe cut some things out, maybe try to shorten it. I don't know. Maybe I'll just upload the whole thing as is and give timestamps and actually make it like a nice proper video. Or maybe not. I don't know. Or if you're just watching this VOD, you can let me know in the VOD video what you think. But I'm Mr. Gaming Counselor. This is my last critique video unless I upload it later, but for 2023 this is it. This is how we're ending, and I think I was pretty fair by giving a fair shake, by applauding Bungie where applauding is needed, right? But I'm not afraid to give criticism where criticism is needed. I'm Mr. Gaming Counselor. I thank you guys. I am truly, truly blessed this year. Not because YouTube, though I am also happy that people are subscribing to the channel. I'm a variety content creator who plays Destiny, and obviously I care about it way, way too goddamn much. But I do want to appreciate everyone who does take time to watch the videos, the people who I interact with on stream, off stream, in the comment section, people who are lurkers who watch, people who watch my videos, who may not comment, people who drop those likes. I thank you. You are awesome. I appreciate you all. And I'm excited for 2024 because Mr. Gaming Counselor has a lot of goals. First goal is I want to try to be more interactive in the gaming world. And when I say interactive, I mean outside of just my two friend who plays and maybe my clan, I want to try to play other games and interact more with other people. Try to maybe find groups to play games together with. And just be more social since I'm very introverted. I want to try to do more on that. I do want to try to put more effort into the channel. Because honestly, I have a house. I have a full-time job. I'm done with college for it's been 3 years. But I've met goals. And outside of building a family one day, I need a new goal. I need something to chase outside of my job, because I have goals in my job that I want to achieve, right? But in life, I want something to chase, and I think my next goal is to hit 1,000 subscribers. It's the starting point of a channel is 1,000 when you can enter the partner program. And I just want to do it as a thing to do, not because I want to be famous, not because I want clout, but just because I could say, hey, I got 1,000. How many people have gotten 1,000? How many people have gotten 400 or 500 subscribers? So I want to get to 1,000. So I'm going to try to learn how to do intros and outros, try to make shorter videos, try to make edit videos, try to do better thumbnails, try to learn editing. I want to do more graphic design, learning some of that, because I love design. I used to be an artist, and so graphic design, 100% something I want to try to do. So try to do better thumbnails. Just having fun with it, right? Less on the less videos on critiquing other people. Not even saying critiquing. It was just I did one video on someone who made a mistake and made a toxic choice of words. And then I summoned hellfire down upon me. The most toxic sludge of the community came out from the crevices and decided to grace my comment section. And so we're not going to do that anymore, because this is a variety channel, not a drama channel, unless it's Bungie drama. But that's my goal for the new year. We ended up our list of our critiques. We had a handful of successes from Bungie, but I have a lot of critiques, some failures. And I think they're all reasonable, right? I think they're reasonable. Even if they're small, I think they're reasonable perspectives. And y'all might disagree with it, and that's great. That's the beauty of perception and personality. We all think about the game in different ways. But for me, this is my biggest failures and successes that I see from Bungie. And yeah, we have 3 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and end my stream. Like I said, I appreciate you guys. I'm going to crack open an energy drink, and I've got some Pokemon Emerald Hardcore Nuzlocke videos to record, because like I said, I'm a variety creator, and I love playing different games. And so expect more of that in the next year. And again, I'm going for 1,000 subscribers. I'm actually going to step in and try to challenge myself for YouTube. When I tell people that I do not care about fame or clout, it has been 100% that way. And I've done very little to actually grow the channel. Outside of the basics of posting on Twitter and stuff like that. But if you look at my Instagram that I made for this channel, I don't even touch it. Or TikTok. I don't touch TikTok I need to do shorts, which is supposed to really grow your channel, but I just can't be bothered. I have a full-time job. But this year I'm going to put effort. Mr. Gaming Counselor here. I appreciate you guys coming down to the counselor's office. I hope you had a fantastic 2023, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in 2024, where we have an exceptional, fantastic 2004, and I'm going to try to mix things up. I'm going to bring back some positive. It's time to, we got criticism, and I think it's great to have criticism, but I think nothing but criticism can make people sad and depressed. And in this world, we have too much darkness. It's time to have some light. So Mr. Gaming Counselor is going to go back to some of the things he used to do at the very beginning of his channel, like Feel Good Friday. I need to bring Feel Good Friday back. We need to have some feel good moments. I'm Mr. Gaming Counselor. As always, don't forget to be the best version of yourself. And until next time, don't forget to game out. I thank you guys. You have a fantastic night. Have a wonderful, wonderful, happy new year. I'm trying to find the screen. There it is. There it is. There's the fireworks. Happy New Year. It's 12 o'clock where I'm at. You can't hear the firecrackers, but I hear it. So here's your firecrackers. It works. There you go. I did your firecrackers. All right, guys. Have a good night. Holy crap. Dude, my neighbors are popping off.